Let's turn our attention now to why the programming meeting in the city of Johannesburg fell apart today. The ActionSA accusing the ANC and EFF alliance in the city of deliberately blocking a motion of no confidence against Mayor Thapelo by not attending this programming meeting. ActionSA says it wants to save the city from embarrassment. To elaborate on that further, we're joined now by the caucus spokesperson for ActionSA, Sthembelo Majola. Good to have you, and thank you very much for your time. Is there something out of the ordinary, would you say, for councillors to send an apology not to attend the meeting?
Absolutely, Thabo. Good evening to you and good evening to your listeners. I hope you can hear me.
Yes, we can.
So today we were all shocked when we attended the meeting at 10 o'clock to realize that the entire EFF caucus that is representing the EFF and the entire ANC caucus that's representing the ANC in the programming committee had all filed leave of absences. That means they couldn't be in the meeting physically.
And is that a normal process that you would need to follow legally in terms of the Municipal Structures Act for not attending a meeting?
Well, the Municipal Structures Act does make provision for councillors to file leave of absences, but in such a case, Thabo, there would be councillors that stand in for other councillors. That would be alternate councillors. I am an alternate councillor myself. I had stood in for my caucus leader, Councillor Funzi Ngobeni, and that is what we would have expected from these councillors. But what they showed today was that they are willing to do anything to buy time for them to be able to have further discussions with their potential coalition partners. I think what happened today is a clear demonstration by this coalition to demonstrate to the people of Joburg that what stands at the forefront for them is not really the service delivery that needs to take place, but politics.
Yeah. So in terms then of the requirements to attend a meeting and what you should be doing and the sanctions that should be meted out, except for the fact that, I mean, if they miss 3 meetings, then they should be removed as councillors. What other sanctions are there?
Well, I think Thabo, I wouldn't really worry myself about that. At this stage, what ActionSA is going to be doing is that we will be going into the next council programming meeting that has been rescheduled for Friday, the 21st of April this week. That committee has been made to be a hybrid meeting, which means councillors that are not available may be able to connect via other platforms to be able to join us in the meeting. So we're expecting that no councillor would have an excuse for not being able to attend that Friday meeting.
Now, there has, of course, been developments, particularly around your motion of no confidence against the mayor. Initially, the Patriotic Alliance was in favor of supporting that particular motion, and they were going to put forward a candidate by the name of Gayton McKenzie. It looks like they met with the ANC over the weekend, and McKenzie has retracted his candidacy. However, he's still supporting the motion of no confidence, which leaves a lot of questions as to whether he will be backing your candidate or will be backing maybe another candidate that will be fielded by the ANC.
Look, what's happening in the Patriotic Alliance and what the PA and Gayton McKenzie are doing has no bearing on what ActionSA is doing at all. We continue to promote this motion of no confidence. We want to see it being passed. I believe negotiations are still underway. In fact, I would argue, Thabo, that what we saw today is rather an attempt by this coalition to extend time for them to have enough time to have these negotiations. Otherwise, they would have felt comfortable to be part of this meeting if they knew they had the numbers. So they delayed this process because they wanted to have a bit more time going forward to be able to finalize their negotiations. I think we as the multi-party government, are going on with our own discussions with potential coalition partners. What is happening on the side of the ANC and the EFF has got no bearing in what we are doing. And on Friday, we are hoping that this motion will be passed through the programming committee.
Yeah, but that would mean both yourselves and the ANC-EFF alliance are not sure of those numbers, because the reason why the multi-party coalition lost the city of Johannesburg was because Patriotic Alliance voted with the ANC-EFF alliance. So if you are not guaranteed their support in terms of your mayoral candidate, you are equally not sure of your position.
Well, we're making arguments to the entire council to support this vote of no confidence. I think if any councillor in the city of Johannesburg really cares about the reputation of our city and the reputation of our municipality and the outward image of the city with the current mayor that exists now, they would vote with ourselves in passing this motion. So our motion is not really dependent on a specific party, on a specific individual, but we are going to be tabling for all councillors to decide whether or not they still think Councillor Thapelo and other councillors are still proper and fit to stand in the office that they stand in. So our motions are not affected by what's going on, and in my understanding, as far as I can tell right now, there are no negotiations that have been finalized, and I think the final decision would really be seen on the day of the council sitting.
So I suppose that would mean your negotiations are open even to the Patriotic Alliance.
That's correct, Thabo. We're speaking to every political party that is involved in council. We obviously welcome political parties that agree that Thapelo and other councillors are not fit to hold the public offices that they are holding. We have made our arguments. We have made our arguments publicly, and we continue to support, rather to welcome political parties that commit to supporting this motion.
But working within your multi-party coalition, you're going to have a challenge in supporting, for example, Gayton McKenzie as a mayor, if the Patriotic Alliance puts that as a condition.
Well, at this stage, there is no decision from the multi-party coalition on who exactly will stand as the mayoral candidate. I think that decision would have to be announced through the correct structure, which is the multi-party oversight group. We don't really, at this stage, know exactly who will be the candidate for the multi-party, and I think that will only be arrived at after the conclusion of these negotiations that are still underway.
So at this particular stage, what you're saying is you're sponsoring a motion to remove the speaker, the mayor, and I suppose it's also a whip or a caucus leader of
whip of council, yes.
Whip of council, yes. You have not discussed who the replacements are going to be.
Look, as ActionSA, we do have capable candidates that can take these positions. But obviously, in the context of coalitions, you would understand that this would need to be something that is discussed throughout the coalition. I mean, with the rest of the coalition partners that put together the numbers that we need to be able to pass these motions. So, if it were according to us, we would be having candidates. We would have announced these candidates by now. But the thing is, we have to go through the negotiations with our coalition partners to be able to sufficiently have these talks and have them agree on who, and have each other agree on who really should be taking up these positions going forward. So that decision will be announced by the multi-party coalition oversight group, and I think it will be announced at the conclusion of the negotiations. So
now, let's look at how Al Jamaa has come in defense of their mayor. I mean, they're saying he's a victim of criticism that seeks to mask his accomplishments and his track record since taking office. Say, in just 2 months, in under 100 days, he has stabilized the finances of the city. As of May, the city is looking at collecting revenue of over 4 billion rands a month. He has ensured that streets are cleaned at least 3 times a day. He has formed a war room to deal with the billing crisis, saying the criticism is seeking to mask all these things that he has achieved.
The executive mayor really doesn't seem to have a clear vision for the city. Thabo, if you just talk to the people of Joburg and try to understand if what is being relayed by the mayor on public platforms is what is the reality on the ground, they would tell you otherwise. I live in the city myself. I'm not aware of any aggressive, cleaning campaign that's taking place in the city. I still see the city. In fact, it's becoming even more dirtier now. With regards to the finances of the city, the executive mayor has not stabilized any finances of the city. In fact, you would be aware that earlier this year they approved a loan, which means the city was not, needed that loan. And when you think of all of those things, and you also consider what he has been, the image that he has been portraying in public interviews that he's had, you would understand why people feel that this is not a person that is fit and proper to lead the city as big as the city of Johannesburg.
Well, they can argue, to say that the multi-party coalition needed that loan. In fact, it was by and large pushing for that loan when Dr. Mpopalatsi was the mayor, but it didn't get the support from the other parties. So the financial situation was already existing in the city when Thapelo Ahmed took over, and he is stabilizing that situation.
That proves my point that the city's finances are not yet at the level that we would be comfortable with. I think there's a lot of work that needs to be done. Admittedly, there was a need for that 2 billion rand loan, but that does not mean, having acquired that loan, that does not mean that the finances of the city are suddenly stabilized. It's funny that the mayor, when it comes to having gotten that loan, he claims that he has done that in such a short period of time. But when it comes to other things, he speaks about him having only been in office for less than 100 days. There's a lot that the mayor, if he was serious, would have communicated by now in terms of his plans going forward and where he wants to take the city to. That has not been communicated sufficiently. In the interviews that he's had, he's made a lot of mistakes that had to be corrected by his office on a later stage, and sometimes it had to be, in other instances, it had to be corrected by the members of the mayoral committee, which is a further demonstration that there is no coordination in this coalition. Like I said in the previous interview that I had with you, that what is happening in the city of Johannesburg is that every party that is involved in this coalition seems to be running its own government within a government. So the executive mayor is running a government where the MMCs from different political parties are just running their own departments and not having a coordinated plan of action that is ran through the office of the executive mayor. So that is not what the people of Joburg deserve, and that is not how you would run a city as big as the city of Johannesburg.
So if what we're hearing coming from yourself in terms of the negotiations that are still ongoing and some of the reporting that is coming through anecdotally as to what could possibly be happening behind the scenes between the EFF ANC alliance and the Patriotic Alliance, how confident are you that your motion of no confidence will be successful on Friday?
I want to firstly start by the letter of the motion itself. There's nothing wrong with the letter of the motion. In fact, we are confident that on Friday, if the meeting does sit, we are going to see that these motions go through. In terms of these motions being passed in council next month, I can assure you that we have full confidence that we would have by then been able to, amass all the support that we need from council to be able to support our motion. We are, there's organizations, Thabo, that also agree with us. These are stakeholders of the city that agree that the executive mayor is not fit and proper, and not just those organizations, but as you would have known and would have seen from the Patriotic Alliance and other political parties, that there has been an admission from their side that the executive mayor, that they took part in in putting into office is not fit and proper. So if you've got that sentiment going around, we do have confidence that our motion is likely to succeed.
I appreciate your time. Thank you very much for coming on. Sthembelo Majola. He speaks for the caucus of ActionSA in the city of Johannesburg.